Hello. Hey, Nicole. How you doing today, Nicole? Hey, beautiful. How you doing, sweetheart? Hey, Jessica. How you doing, beautiful? Hey, Ashley Boo. How you doing, mom? Hey, Crystal. Oh, I got two crystals. Oh, Lord. Hey, Miss Jane. Hey, she been remixed. How you doing, mom? How you doing? You blessed, huh, Nicole? Okay. Oh, for real, Miss Jane? Yeah, I got a couple video. Oh Lord, my other tripod in the video, yo. All right, y'all. I'm about to start reading. So yeah, okay. We on chapter 5. I got to chapter 5 last night, so we on chapter 5. So okay, I had been acquiring with Valerie Proctor longer than any of my other friends. She was the first one to welcome me to the neighborhood when Viola and Luther Mason took me into their lovely home on No, I think I read this already, yo. I think I'm on chapter 6. Yes, I read it. Okay, so I'm sorry, y'all. I'm actually on chapter 6. I don't care if y'all do whatever y'all do in the comments. Do y'all thing. And I'm about to read. If you gotta go, I understand. I'm not mad. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. And I'm about to start reading. So yeah. Okay, so despite my traumatic early years, I had an outgoing personality. So it was fairly easy for me to make friends. In addition to Valerie Proctor and a few other kids in the neighborhood, I had a lot of friends who were also in foster care. That was important to me because I like knowing kids who had endured experiences similar to mine. I bonded faster with them than I did with kids who lived with their biological families. Valerie was an exception. It didn't take long for me to feel as if I had known her all my life. Hey, Carly. The Masons were elderly people who had never been able to have children of their own. I was the only foster child in their home, but before me they had opened their arms and hearts to half dozen other neglected and abused kids. They also associated with a lot of other couples who took in foster kids. I preferred the company of other girls, but there was one boy I'd met at church who stayed on my mind for days after I met him. His name was Floyd Watson, and he was also in a foster home. Floyd was an average looking boy with brown skin and curly reddish brown hair. But when he smiled, he looked quite handsome with his round brown eyes and full lips. The problem was he rarely smiled. Like me, knowing that we had something in common made me smile. Unfortunately, from what I heard, he didn't have much to smile about. I knew from Valerie, the church gossips, and my foster parents that Floyd had been horribly abused throughout his 15 years. The first time I saw him, he had a cast on one arm and bandages practically all over his face from injuries that he sustained. Oh, the book that I'm reading is She Had It Coming, and it's by Mary Monroe. Okay. Okay. So, he had a cast on one arm and bandages practically all over his face from injuries he had sustained during a stay in a previous foster home. His mother was a prostitute and his dad was one of her tricks. She lived with a drug dealer for a while and then used to make Floyd and they used to make Floyd do drug runs wearing a bulletproof vest. Valerie whispered to me in church one boring Sunday afternoon, Floyd sat on the top of the pew across the aisle, looking like he didn't have a friend in the world. And that frump sitting next to him is his latest foster mother, Glodine Banks. She's a bitch on wheels, Valerie hissed. Damn, I mouthed. Well, at least Miss Godine seems like a nice enough woman, bringing him to church and all, I added. Nice was one word that was rarely used to describe Godine. Not only was she nosy busybody, she talked about everybody she knew like a dog. Unlike Valerie, who ran a close second to Godine as the biggest gossip in our neighborhood, Godine was a straight up troublemaker. She had been known to call up the welfare people and report the cheats, and even I knew that the only reason she took in foster kids was to get paid. But according to Viola, there was a reason for Godine's bitterness. She had lost all three of her children a few years ago. While she was enjoying a cookout at a neighbor's house, her kids had hidden themselves in an abandoned refrigerator while playing hide and seek and the neighbor's kids with the neighbor's kids. When the kids never came home from their hiding place, everyone started looking for them. 3 hours later, they found them in the refrigerator dead of asphyxiation. Godine had an hysterectomy, so she couldn't have any more children. Viola insisted that Godine's nasty ways were how she hid her grief and shame. I felt sorry for the women, but Valerie still thought she was a witch. That witch, nice my ass, she is a sex pot. Valerie cupped her hand and whispered in my ear. I hear she used to sell pussy when she was young. I guess now that she looks like the creature from the Black Lagoon, she has to get her nookie any way she can. That thing she married must be sleeping on on his job. What do you mean by that? I asked. Valerie rolled her eyes, rotated her neck, and gave me an extirpated look. At the same time, she seemed to be enjoying her position. Everyone knows that Godine gets jiggy with her foster sons, just the big cute ones though. She must be a hog in hog heaven with a honk like Floyd living under her roof. And from what I can see, when he wants to wear them tight jeans, he when he wears them tight jeans, he's got a big dick and they wait. He's got a big dick that any grown woman would like to get her stanky hands on. That nasty bitch, Valerie snickered, covering her mouth with both hands and flashing me a smug look. I gave Valerie a sharp look and shook my head. Miss Godine molest her foster sons? Floyd is kind of cute though, so I can understand her not being able to keep her hands off him. Valerie nodded. I heard that from 3 or 4 different people, so it must be true. That many people wouldn't go around telling the same lie. Can't can't she go to jail for that? I will. Two middle-aged sisters in front of us turned around and gave us dirty looks, so we lowered our voices. Girl, please, Valerie quipped, snapping her fingers. Black kids don't have a chance in the world. I live in the same house with a cop, and he is just as bad as any of these other motherfuckers, if not worse. Dang, it's bad enough when a girl gets molested, but it must be hella bad for a boy, I said with a muffled groan. And the husband of Goldines was has his way with all the foster girls. Everybody on the block knows about it. The last 3 girls that was there, all 3 of them got pregnant with his babies, and Goldine fixed them up. I heard that heifer caught a used a coat hanger. I didn't know about that shit, I admitted. Can't somebody do something to make her stop, like calling the police? Well, I know it hasn't been going on for long, at least not with Floyd. That brother is hardly some everyday punk. That boy is from Crenshaw, and he's still oh that boy is from Crenshaw, and he's still in touch with some of his boys. Sooner or later, they will take care of that old bitch. You know the Crips don't play. And if I was you, I wouldn't get involved with somebody that's got so much going against him. I didn't hear the rest of Reverend Carter's sermon that day, and I had stopped listening to Valerie. But as soon as church let out, I went up to Floyd and invited him to my house, which was a few doors down the block and across the street. I couldn't tell if he was surprised or annoyed because he looked at me with such contempt I flinched. Boy, where's your manners at? Be nice, Miss Godine barked, giving Floyd a nudge with her elbow. She looked down, so I looked down. Seeing his cheap pants with the legs several inches too short, his shabby shoes, I truly felt sorry for him. Any dudes over there I can kick it with, he muttered, chewing on a toothpick. Behind Miss Goldine stood her two cute but sad-faced teenage foster daughters and her lanky mule-faced husband. In his in his vomit colored suit and greasy hair, he looked like a snake oil salesman. From the smug look on his face and the way he seemed to be guarding the two girls, I had no trouble believing that he was a pervert. Not yet, but I got a lot of games and stuff, I said proudly. You like Pac-Man? I got that. Before responding, Floyd looked at Miss Godine and she answered for him. This boy got enough of mess on his hands without getting him caught up in some of your mess, she said. I know how you little heifers pick out a handsome boy like Floyd so you can get yourself pregnant and on the welfare. Floyd, don't you be no fool. Do you hear me, boy? I couldn't believe that this was the same woman who just told Floyd to be nice to me. Yes, ma'am, Floyd muttered. I gasped. The two teenage girls gave me pitiful looks, and Goldine's husband snickered and moved more closer to the older of the two girls. Come on, Lo. It stinks up in here, Valerie said, pulling me toward the door. Let's go to my house where we can have some fun. I followed Valerie to her house, dragging my feet like they weighed 10 pounds apiece. But I didn't stay long. Mr. Zeke was on a rampage. As soon as we entered the living room, we saw him dragging Miss Naomi across the floor by her hair like a caveman. You son of a bitch, turn my mama a loose, Valerie screamed. Then she shot across the floor like a bullet and started beating Mr. Zeke on the back and head as with her fist. Girl, have you lost what was left of your mind or what? He roared. With one hand still holding Valerie's mother by the hair, he raised his other hand and hit Valerie across the face. She stumbled and crashed into the wall with so much force that every picture on the wall and a huge wall clock crashed to the floor. All right, so that was chapter 6, and I'm on chapter 7. An ambulance took Valerie's mother to the hospital that same evening, and I didn't see Valerie again for several days. Neither she nor her two younger siblings came to school or even out the house. When I finally did see her in church the following Sunday, I was stunned and upset by what she told me and by what I saw. Zeke made my mama say she fell down the stairs, Valerie sobbed, though clenched through clenched teeth. Her left eye was swollen and bloodshot. I didn't ask and she didn't tell, but I knew that she also taken a few more hits from Mr. Zeke for trying to help her mother. Hey, Rita. Valerie and I usually occupied the same pew every Sunday, but this time Floyd and his foster family had beaten us to it. We sat behind them whispering as Reverend Carter preached so hard that the veins in his neck and forehead looked like coils. I enjoyed going to church every Sunday, but not for the same reason as most of the congregation. The choir had so many people singing off key, it was a real treat to hear them. It reminded me of the Gong Show reruns when our frenzied preachers preaching got real intense. He flapped his arms as if he was about to take off flying. So that was another treat. And attending church gave me a chance to glaze at Floyd Watson. What about you? I know you didn't tell them that you fell down the stairs, I said to Valerie, looking at the back of Floyd's head out of the corner of my eye. He was chewing gum so his ears were wiggling until Godine gave him a mean look. My foster parents occupied the same pew with Floyd and his family. Hey, Red. My foster parents occupied the same pew with his family and with Floyd and his family. I had to talk in a real low voice because the one thing Viola and Luther didn't tolerate was me being disrespectful in the Lord's house. I didn't tell anybody anything. It only makes things worse. Last week, Zeke slapped my little brother so hard he vomited, all because he didn't take out the trash when he was supposed to. I told my gym teacher. A social worker came to the house and took Zeke and Mama into the kitchen and talked to them. I don't know what all they talked about, but they came back into the living room laughing and slapping each other on the back. You know how clumsy kids is and how they like to tell lies to get attention, Zeke was saying to the social worker. My little brother is just 9 years old and just learning about things. There is nothing a child that young can do to get beaten like that. But what about your mama? Can't she say something to get people to believe her? He's a cop, Lou. He's got guns and handcuffs and pepper spray and shit. He can do whatever he wants to do to me, my mama, and anybody else. Last night during dinner, when my little sister Liz took a pork chop without asking, he handcuffed her to her chair. She was still there when we got up this morning. Shit, she slept handcuffed to the chair all night. Valerie nodded. She couldn't get she couldn't get to the bathroom during the night, so she wet herself. She was whooping this morning for doing she got a whipping this morning for doing that. Valerie paused and stared into space. From the look on her face, there was no telling what kind of thoughts were running through her head. Still staring off into space, she started talking about speaking real. Wait, she started talking again, speaking real slow. Nobody can speak against him and get away with it. He brags about all the heads he's cracked when him and the rest of those. No, you gotta get out because you can't hear what I'm about to read. No, you gotta get out. I'm not playing. In a few minutes. You can take the tablet with you.
No, it should be in charge.
Take the charger with you.
Okay. No.
I'm good. How you doing? He didn't want to leave y'all, but he couldn't hear this. Okay. Okay. So he was bragging about how he makes the hookers that work on his beat suck his dick and break him off a few $100s a week. A lot of the cops in the town do the same shit. They plant drugs and stolen property on gangbangers, and they even shot the ones that really want to get rid of. I gave Valerie a thoughtful look. Has he ever, you know, I know what. Has he ever done anything nasty to you or your little sister? From the look on Valerie's face, I had a feeling that my question offended her. Hell no, she said quickly. What makes you think he's ever done that? I gave my shoulders a hearty shrug. He's done everything else, I figured. If he's so mean and nasty that he makes prostitutes suck his dick, what's to stop him from doing the same thing or something worse to you and your baby sister? Well, all I can say is that he hasn't. At least not yet. Valerie reached for a Himmel in the pocket of on the back of the pew in front of us and started fanning herself. She glanced at Floyd and nudged at me with her elbow. Guess what? Your boy busted Rosie Graham's cherry at Bobby Baker's birthday party last night. I stared at Valerie with wide-eyed interest. It should have been me, I swooned. Valerie jabbed me in my side with her elbow. Don't worry, your day is coming. Anyway, Floyd did the deed like a pro. They were all over the couch in Bobby's rec room. Who told you that he did that? I asked with a hopeful sigh. Three old ladies gave me dirty looks and mentioned for me to shut up. Who told you that? I whispered, leaning so close to Valerie that I could smell her sweat. That combined with her cheap perfume reminded me of a fragrance my mother used to wear called Bitches Brews. I really wait. I remember a no. I remember her spraying my spoiled ass with that shit when I was a toddler when she didn't feel like washing me properly. All of a sudden, my nose started itching and I let out a few sneezes that were so aggressive. It started itching. No, wait. Was so aggressive. It felt like somebody had punched me in my nose. I was there and seen the whole thing. Me and Iris Cunningham followed them when they left the party. I guess after he's had a wallow up on top of Goldine's nasty, lumpy body, getting some pussy his own age must be a real treat to him. You don't watch your step, he'll be busting you too. I shook my head and giggled. I don't think so. I wish I would make up I wish you would make up your mind. I thought you just said it should have been you he busted at the party. Valerie snapped Valerie snapped, covering her mouth and kept from to keep from laughing. Oh, I did say that, didn't I? Oh well, but I don't care what I have to do. I'm not going to end up the way my mama did, or like a lot of other women like her. I turned, I turned to look in Floyd's direction. At about the same time, he turned to look at me, and our eyes met. He was looking at me like I was the most beautiful girl in the world, and from the first time in my life, that was exactly how I felt. So, yeah, y'all. So, y'all like the book? Hey, Dan. Hey, Frank. Y'all liking the book? I like this book. I feel like it's real good. It's real interesting. Yeah, it's real good, Miss Jane. Miss Jane. Hey, Miss Jane. All right, y'all. I'm on chapter 8. I got 2 more chapters. I'm going to try to do 8. Yeah, because look, this is 8, 9, and 10 is this little small part right here. So I'm going to try to get to chapter 10, y'all. So I'm going to just keep reading till I get to chapter 10. And I'm going to read chapter 10 and that's it. All right. Floyd and I were the same age and we attended the same school, but he was not in any of my classes. His two foster sisters were so mentally slow that they had to attend special education classes in a school halfway across town. They rode on a short bus, bright orange school bus that picked them up at a spot in front of my house. Some days Floyd escorted the two girls to the bus stop and then waited with them until they got on the bus. He did that to protect them from the neighborhood bullies who had already knocked them down and snatched their lunches from them a few times. Knowing that Floyd cared about people enough to fight for them made me want him even more. Every morning before I went to school, I watched from my upstairs bedroom window as all three of them lugged their cheap, shabby backpacks decorated with outdated cartoon characters and jelly stains to the bus. The backpacks were bad enough, but they all carried greasy brown bag lunches because the greedy ass Godine was too stingy to spend more than the money she got from the state on them. My dear sweet old foster parents led such dull lives that they got slap happy whenever somebody came to visit. 3 days before my 16th birthday, I galloped downstairs and there was Floyd sitting at the dining room table playing Chinese checkers with Luther. As soon as his eyes met mine, I started trembling in my tracks. I was surprised to see Floyd spending his time with a man old enough to be his grandfather. The fact that he did something this ordinary and uncool made me like him even more. I expected a boy like him to be somewhere kicking it with and getting whacked on weed with his homeboys. That was the moment when I realized I had a serious crush on Floyd and I planned to do something about it. Viola was beside herself, judging from the sweet aroma coming from the kitchen. I knew that she had baked some of her 10-minute tea cakes, and I knew that she was going to practically shove a few of those damn things down Floyd's throat. She didn't know that I wasn't going to tell her, but my foster father had told me several times that Floyd had to force himself to eat those damn tea cakes. The boy had the boy had my sympathy because I went through the same thing at least 3 times a week. Every time I emptied my trash can in my bedroom, it was usually half full of stale tea cakes. Dolores, child, mother said to tell you to fold and put away the laundry before you leave this house, Luther told me, not even looking up from his game. Luther didn't shave every day or comb what was left of his wiry gray hair on the side and back of his head. He had a few suits and other nice pieces of clothing that he wore only to a few only to church and when he had to pay a visit to one of his 3 doctors. He wore a black and red flannel shirt and overalls most of the time, and a pair of old house shoes. He looked like a bum sitting next to Floyd, who was in a crisp white t-shirt and black pants. If Valerie had not told me, I never would have suspected that Floyd was being abused by his foster mother. With his strong-looking young body, he looked like he could whoop Mike Tyson with one hand behind his back. Hey, Lo, Floyd said with a smile and a wave. What's up? I see you in school and church all the time, I added, stumbling through the room, trying to get to the laundry room without running into a wall. Can I go to Valerie's house when I finish the laundry? I asked my foster father, my eyes still on Floyd. You can go anywhere you want to go as long as you do what mother said for you to do, Luther said, still not looking up from his game. This was as stern as Luther ever got with me. He had never looked, touched, or said anything inappropriate to me. I knew other girls in foster care who had been raped so many times by the men and boys in some of the houses they landed in that they thought it was normal. Sweet Luther was everything that I wanted in a father. I never had. I was more than a little blessed. It saddened me to know that Valerie had to live with an asshole like Mr. Zeke when I had a man like Luther, and all to myself at that. The only good thing about Luther and Viola being so old and worn out was that they didn't think that they could handle but one foster child. And don't worry about the tea cakes. Me and Floyd will leave you a few, Luther assured me with a devilish grin. He couldn't stand those damn things any more than Floyd or I could, but nobody had the heart to tell Viola. That's nice, I muttered. It pleased me to see Floyd shoot me a compromise con conspiro conspiratorial glance. Oh, conspiratorial glance. As he nodded toward a saucer on the table with pebble-sized crumbs scattered around it like a beaded halo. He cleared his throat and nodded toward the waste paper can in the corner by the living room. The more I saw this boy, the more I liked him. I was glad Luther didn't look at me because I didn't want him to see me walking backwards, grinning at Floyd until I got out of the room. Floyd's eyes stayed on me until I was out of sight. I folded and put away the laundry, and by the time I got back to the dining room, Floyd was gone. Luther was outside fiddling around under the hood of his old Ford. What? Yeah, and you won't have to get back out again if I start reading something unless you about to fall asleep. Uncle calling you.
What?
Sorry, y'all. Luther was outside fiddling around under the hood of the old Ford he'd brought from one of his friends, and Viola was across the street at the church for choir practice. Luther looked up as I skipped across the lawn toward Valerie's house. You take care of that laundry like I told you? He wanted to know. He didn't even give me a chance to answer. You better get back in the house before dark. This is a school night. It I didn't bother to respond because he had already returned his gaze to his car. And if that Zeke gets loose, you better get to running, girl, Luther advised, trying to sound harsh, which he could not have done convincingly, even with a gun aimed at his head. Despite his gentle nature, Luther tried to be tough with me from time to time, but it wasn't necessary. I did everything I was supposed to do, and I had enough respect for him and Viola to hide the things I did that I knew they wouldn't like smoking an occasional joint in the backyard or sucking up a few beers. The only thing they had a problem with was my frequent visits to Valerie's house because Mr. Zeke. Everybody on the block knew what a monster Mr. Zeke was when it came to Valerie and the rest of her family. And according to Valerie, he had more enemies than Saddam Hussein. The running joke was that if something fatal happened to Mr. Zeke, a list of suspects would be as long as a yardstick, and he knew that. As a matter of fact, he made jokes about it too. If a civil war ever breaks out in LA, they'll be shooting at me from every side. He said he always said left when he said stupid shit like that. But he was probably right. Hey then, please. Okay. With the expression of Mr. Zeke and Luther and Viola got along. Wait. With the exception of Mr. Zeke, Luther and Viola got along well with everybody as far as I could tell. They had a few relatives who enjoyed spending time with, which to my everlasting horror included a nephew who was more interested in what Viola and Luther were going to leave him when they died. Since they never had any children of their own, they had a soft spot for this nephew, and that sucker played those two kind and wonderful people like a piano. I knew for a fact that everything except the house, which the greedy nephew was going to inherit, was to be divided equally among all the surviving relatives. The house was no palace, and with the exception of the new bedroom suite that they bought for me, all the rest of the contents were almost as old as Viola and Luther. Sadly, I overheard a few rude relatives admit that there was nothing in the house that they want. As far as I knew, I'd get nothing other than what was already mine. That didn't bother me because I didn't expect anything anyways. I had no right to. The Masons' love and the fact that they had given me a nice home was more than enough. I enjoyed living with Viola and Luther, and I prayed that they'd be able to live with them. I'd be able to live with them until I turned 18 and and could do a could do as I pleased. I wasn't worried about the social service removing me from and placing me in another home, even though that was a possibility. My biggest concern was the fact that the Masons were in their mid 70s and not in the best of health. I didn't know if they'd be around for another 2 years. Sadly, I found out a couple of hours later that Luther wouldn't. It was Floyd who came to Valerie's house to tell me that he had returned to my house to deliver some tools that Luther wanted to borrow. He found Luther stretched out on the ground in the driveway, clutching his chest. I hope he's going to be all right. He's the closest I've ever came to having a daddy, I moaned, Trying to sound brave as Floyd escorted me back to the house. Instead of walking on the sidewalk, we trespassed on the elderly Scott's property, trampling the neat lawn. Another old man on my mind who was a lot more important to me. I don't know what made gone, and Luther's body in tow. Sister Orally Crockett, a stout motherly woman from the church, was in the house crying and about to dial the telephone. She put the telephone back into its cradle as soon as she saw me. It was a struggle for Sister Oli, but between sobs and she managed to tell me that Luther's sudden passing had upset Viola so much a second ambulance had been called for her. Lord have mercy. We going to have to dig two graves, Sister Crockett wailed. They're both dead, I cried, pulling away from Floyd. He was right behind me, stepping on my heels as I ran across the living room floor. What's going to happen to me now? I hollered, looking at Floyd. I was frantic, and it showed on my face. My reaction startled him. I have nobody now, I said in a hoarse voice. Where will I go? Floyd looked at me. Then he put his arm around me and stared, rubbing my back. I knew right then and there that this was real love, and it was mine for the taking. Oh, y'all, I'm sad about this. Both of them died? Dang. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, chapter 9, y'all. Oh, Lord. Oh, go away. Okay. Chapter 9. Viola survived the mild heart attack that she suffered. Hey! Viola survived the mild heart attack that she suffered immediately after she'd been told about Luther. However, she was in no shape to attend his funeral, but the way some of their relatives behaved, you would have thought she had died too. As soon as they had been notified, they descended upon the house like lotuses. Vehicles with out of town license plates sat in front of the house in a crooked line that stretched 2 blocks long. This clumsy caravan, including everything from a shiny new white Cadillac from Texas to a low riding fishtail jalopy with an Arkansas license plate with a piece of wire holding the door shut. I already knew what Viola's relatives didn't get along. Wait, I already knew that Viola's relatives didn't get along that well with Luther relatives. The tension in the house was so thick as a bowl of paste, and I was stuck slap dab in the middle. Me, an outsider, if ever there was one, none of the relatives had accepted me. If anything, I was treated like a servant. One greasy mouthed relative after another ordered me to perform one minimal task after another. I had to trot into the kitchen and bring this one a glass of water and that one a piece of pecan pie. I had to sew a button back onto one's coat. I even had to smash some potatoes for one of those greedy bitches who hadn't stopped eating since she walked in the door. One of the reasons I look forward to getting married and having a family of my own was so I could truly feel like I belonged somewhere and to somebody. I knew from talking with other foster kids that until we had real homes of our own, we would always feel like intruders on somebody on some level. Despite my situation, I was one of the lucky ones. Before Luther and Viola, I had experienced 2 other foster homes. I had never felt comfortable in either of them. Even though I had not been neglected or abused, I felt displaced in a in in the way. Like an ugly piece of furniture that nobody wanted but kept because they didn't know what else to do with it. And even having to deal with the fools that I had to deal with right now, I was still in the best place that I had ever been in my life. One of the things that made my current situation so bearable was right across the street, and that thing was Floyd. I prayed that his caseworker would leave me alone. I prayed that the caseworker would leave me alone. I didn't know what I would do if they snatched me away from Viola and dumped me into another home. That's why I promised myself that I would tolerate Viola and Luther's crazy relatives no matter what. The situation that was playing itself out at Viola's house like a rap record reminded me of a visit to the San Diego Zoo with my previous foster parents. I felt like I was in the wild kingdom, a jungle. One of the more beastly inhabitants was Noble Coleman, and what kind of name was that? Viola's greedy, scheming nephew. He was without a doubt the biggest thorn in my side. The 30-year-old booger had been sitting around for years waiting for Luther and Viola to die so he could get his claws on the deed to their house. He had the nerve to mosey on over a few hours before Luther's funeral to go through Luther's clothes. I might be able to get a few pennies for Uncle's suits in the flea market, Noble announced, his voice sounding like a frog's croak. What about that old lazy boy he used to find of? He was so fond of. And them end tables he made. You want that too? Asked Glodine, wearing a tight navy blue dress with a matching turban. You big as wait, as big as a bitch and sex fiend as Valerie claimed Godine was. The woman was always available to jump in and help out when it came to church members' funerals. As a matter of fact, she was always available to help with any neighborhood tragedy too. She had come to the house with Floyd and his two foster sisters to help some ladies from the church and a few of Viola's and Luther relatives get the house ready for the rest of the mourners. With the exception of a few grashly dressed individuals roaming throughout the house looking for something else to take, everybody else was in the living room. I didn't care about anybody else, but I was glad to see that Floyd and Valerie were present. I want that lazy boy and them end tables, yeah, Rudy, one of Luther's cousins from Dallas, and you can have it. I know y'all don't think I'm about to drag a U-Haul down the freeway from back to San Diego with all that junk up in here. Noble shouted, standing by the window holding up two pieces of silverware to the light. He had a plain, pinched, reddish brown face and no neck. It looked like his chin, jaws, and chest were all one big separate slab of meat. He looked like a penguin in his tight black suit and white shirt. This gargoyle had the nerve to be married to a very attractive young Mexican woman. She was sitting by the door on a hassock looking like she wanted to make a run for the border. Noble, you can put the silverware right back where you got it from. That belongs to my auntie. And last time I checked a few minutes ago, she was still breathing. Tyler, one of Viola's other nephews, a buck-tooth security guard named Lenny from Compton. The relatives all started talking and fussing. There were so many high conversations taking place at the same time, that within seconds it sounded like one angry voice. I wanted to hide in my room, but some teenage relatives were swarming around in every room upstairs for their own treasure to take. I let out a loud, disgusted sigh when I spotted one of the Arkansas relatives who had called Sister come wobbling down the steps. That bold heifer was cuffing a boombox that Luther had promised I could have when he passed. This was the only thing I want out of all this mess. Sister muttered, struggling to sit down with the boombox on her lap. I had a feeling that Luther's spirit was outraged. It must have broken his heart to hear that the things he cherished for so many years being referred to as mess. Sister unbuttoned the two top buttons of her stiff black coat dress and started fanning with her hand. And I ain't going to sit up in this stuffy barn all day without no beer, she shouted Fanny. Then she looked around the room, her hands shading her beady black eyes. Otis Lee told this thing out yonder to the car, she ordered, hollering at the boombox. A long-haired teenage boy shot across the floor and snatched the boombox out of her thick hands. I ignored the smirk on her face. That's mine, I said under my breath, just loud enough for nobody but me and sister to hear. Not only had that bitch taken the boombox from my room, she had also helped herself to the handkerchief that Luther had given me on my last birthday. She used it to blow her nose. She glared at me in a way that made it seem like she was daring me to complain, but I knew it was to my advantage not to. You're all right, Lo, Floyd X sitting across from me on the lumpy plaid living room sofa that Luther had always been so fond of. Hell no, I was not at all. But feeling Floyd's hand on my shoulder made me feel somewhat better. I'm fine, I managed, knowing that I had no say so in who took what. Floyd, thanks for being here. I don't think I could get through this without you and Valerie, I told him. I'm glad when things are back to normal. Same here. Listen, when things do settle down, let me and you hook up and do something. You know, movies or something. You cool with that? Yeah, I mumbled, praying that Viola would be all right so that I'd have a place to call home. I hadn't told Viola about my feelings for Floyd lately. With the things with the way things were with her, I didn't think that was something she wanted to hear anyways. She had enough to deal with. The same day that Luther died, Mr. Zeke beat Valerie so brutally and for stealing money from his wallet, he broken her arm in two places. Well, that was the end of chapter 9. I don't know who's still in here, but okay, I done made it to chapter 10, so I think I'm going to stop here and I'm going to start on chapter 10 tomorrow. So, oh, hey, Frank. Man, Frank, you be hanging in there with me, man. Thank you. Frank, I was watching your lemon challenge today. I said, look at Frank. Frank was up there eating the lemon and talking like the lemon was so good. I said, boy, you strong, because who? You was eating that lemon like that lemon was good. No, indeed. I said, oh no.
I bet I can do it.
Huh?
I bet I can do it if I could eat out
The
a
lemon
tomato.
challenge?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get some lemon so you could do the lemon challenge
Okay.
tomorrow.
If I could eat a tomato as a baby with no teeth, then yeah, I could definitely do it.
Yeah, you going to do the lemon challenge, Hayden? That sounds fun.
But I like your luckies.
Huh?
Latin.
It was cold. It was cold. The lemon was cold, or it was cold like the weather. Hey, Elle, how you doing? I'm cold right now. That's why I got this blanket on like a fool. Oh, it was good. Oh, for real, it was good. I'm doing good. Just finished reading. How you doing? But yeah, Frank, you said it was good, huh? You got down to the last part and then you said it kind of got a little nasty. But at least you made it through. And you made it through the whole video and you were still eating them lemons. I was like, baby, no indeed. You doing good? That's good, Elle. I'm glad to hear that you're doing good. I'm doing good. Oh, I got my car back working. Well, my stepdaddy got it back working. He was working on it today when I got home from work. He was charging up the battery, and then we waited a little while the battery charged, and then he just hooked it back up, and the car came back on. I was like, thank you, Jesus. Man, I miss my car. Man, them couple of little days of not having no car. I don't like that feeling. Man, I was so glad look, when I got to the car and he was like, go, I know, right? When he said, go crank up the car, I touched the steering wheel. I said, Lord, please, just let my car start. I was praying. I said, baby, I miss you so much, car. Please, just start for me. For real. Man, for real, sure. I miss my car. I never realized how much I was gonna miss my car. Today I was on lunch and I was just sitting around looking like, yeah, I want to go sit in my car. I went sit in one of the other buildings. I was just over it. But y'all, I did find this little room at my job, and it's where like the people do the sign language or whatever. And but nobody don't be using it because I never see nobody in this room, and I always wonder what the room was for. So when I was sitting there, I was looking at it, and it said ASL voice voice bank or something like that. So basically, I'm thinking that's where the people who do the sign language that go and talk to the patients or whatever. So it's like a room, and it's just like a padded room, like where you don't hear nothing in there, like it's just quiet, like kind of almost like a recording studio. So I went and asked them, and I was like, is this only for the students, or is this for the employees who could employees use it? And the lady was like, well, I think it's just for like the people who do the sign language or whatever. So I was like, oh, but she had wrote down my name and phone number, and she said she was gonna call me and let me know. But that'll be so good because I could do my voiceovers in there, like on my lunch break and stuff, like when I'm at work. So I don't know, but the lady ain't never called me. So hopefully she called me tomorrow and let me know what the people say, because that'll be good. I was like, I never even noticed what this room was for. I know, right? That room, nobody never be in that room. Like the room have like a little. I was looking all in the window. I was being nosy. The room have like a desk in there, and they have like two chairs, like two wheelie chairs, and like some plugs. So like I guess you could plug up your computer or whatever. And it's all padded with the soundproof. Like the whole room is like the soundproof stuff. Like the whole thing is made out of that. And I was like, man, I never really realized, never really paid attention to it till today when I was sitting up in there and trying to get out the cold. And I was just, sitting there and I was looking at it, trying to see what it was talking about. I was like, man, I didn't even realize we had all that. Man, my job be having so much stuff. Like, it's crazy. They be buying up everything. They trying to take over the whole city. And it's crazy. Oh yeah, like a translation room. Yeah. Yeah, it's something like that, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I never seen anybody ever using a room. So I don't know. But shoot, if I could use it, that'd be perfect. Cause I'm gonna go up in there and do my voiceovers. Shoot. Okay, for real. I supposed to been editing some videos today, but like I was doing the stuff with my car, and then after that, I went brought my stepdaddy home. Then I watched Reader Live, and then I started doing my little reading thing. And that was about it for me. I probably edit the videos tomorrow because they were still uploading. All my footage from yesterday was still uploading on my computer. So hopefully it should be done by now, because that was way at 7 o'clock when I started doing that. And when I came home, it was still uploading. So I was like, But I did have a lot of stuff because I had recorded. Thank you, Frank. I really appreciate it. I was like, people probably think this boring, but I don't know. I really find it interesting, and the story's so good. Like it's so juicy, Like I be just see me. I could just keep going and going and going. Like I could just keep reading all night. Cause I mean, I find it interesting. Plus, I like reading or whatever. So I don't know, but You know everybody don't want to hear that. But I'm glad you like it, Frank. At least it make me feel good to know that at least somebody listening to me. Cause I mean, you right. For real, shoot. But I feel like it's a good story. I mean, it's interesting. It's not boring. Oh no, L, it's all right. It's okay. I'm not doing no tripping. Frank been hanging in there with me, so I'll be all right. But yeah, it's good. We haven't even got to the good part yet. We still in the beginning. We haven't even made it to the good part yet. We still on the beginning first couple chapters. So, and we still got buku more to go. Right. It's funny how this not the juicy part. This just the introduction. we didn't got we didn't had about 3 murders. All kind of stuff that happened in this little story in the first 9 chapters. And the chapter short. I like that the chapter short because it don't make you feel like you reading a lot. I think she did that on purpose to make people feel like, oh, I'm not reading so many chapters at once. But the book's so good, it don't matter like if you make the chapters long or short because it's so good and so interesting. You know, right? So, but I mean, I like it, and I'm glad you like it too, Frank. L, you missed the reading. You don't even know what the book about. Was you in the room yesterday? Did you even hear anything about the book, L? L probably don't even know what book I'm reading. But L, it's a good book. Oh, L. Well, it's okay. I still got more days to go because I'm only on day 2. It's a good book. If you ever see me on here reading, just pop in. You might hear some curse words, but I promise you it's a good story. And you're going to catch on and you're going to learn the characters. Good. I'm for real, seriously. I'm gonna be probably doing this like pretty much every day until like I finish the book. Hey, mom, how you doing? I'm gonna try to finish the book or whatever. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, yep. But that's all I got going on, y'all. I'm just happy I got my call back. Ooh. Boy, what? I got my call back. Who? Y'all just don't understand. Man, it felt like it felt the worst. Like, I mean, and I'm not gonna say like I always had a call because I haven't always had a call. Like, I only had my little call for like a year, and before that, I was just getting a bus, catching like the Uber and the cab and stuff. I hate catching a cab. The cab get on my nerves. I was trying to find thumbnails for an upcoming video. Thank, thank God. Oh, you was trying to find a thumbnail picture for your upcoming video? That's nice. I just be making my little thumbnails from the little picture app on my phone. The little app that I use to edit my Instagram pictures with. I just use that to make my thumbnails with. I don't know how to do it no other kind of way. Like I don't know how to do Photoshop. Now I did buy the Final Cut Pro thing, but I never even installed it in my computer. I don't know how to use that. So I just use the iMovie that came on the computer. First, I gotta learn how to work the computer, and then I'll put the Final Cut Pro on there. Thank God you got your car back Okay. That's the same thing I said. I was praising God for real. What? I was like, thank you, Jesus. Y'all, let me tell you. My stepdaddy was like, step on the gas. Okay. My stepdaddy was like, step on the gas. So I stepped on the gas. No, I'm lying. He was like, turn the car on. So I went to turn the car on, and it wasn't catching. It was like still doing the same stupid thing. So he was like, well, now turn the car on and step on the gas. So I turned the car on. I stepped on the gas, and it started vrooming. And it was like, and then it just started working. Yo, I sat there for a good 5 minutes. My stepdaddy was like, okay, now turn the car before you run all the gas out. I was like, I'm scared to turn the car off. I was like, I'm scared to turn the car off. And he was like, turn the car off, child. So I turned the car off or whatever. And then he told me to turn it back on, and the car came back on, y'all. I was so happy. I said, ooh, thank you, Jesus. I would stay in the car all night if I had to. Just to be on the safe side. So, hey Mo, how you doing? I started to text you today. You know what? I did mean to text you today. I saw because you had posted a comment on one of my videos. Hey Crystal, you back? But yeah, Jamaica, I was gonna text you, but shit, I was so busy at work, I ain't never even text you more. I'm sorry. But hey Mo, huh? I don't know. Much love, Crystal. Yeah, I've been a little busy. My car was broke. I got it fixed today. I was excited. I was telling everybody I was so excited. Not good. Cook none at home. Not good. Cook none at home. Thank you. I don't know what you mean. Did I cook something? No, I had cooked some spaghetti the other day. I was supposed to make some noodle salad, a noodle. I call it noodle pasta, and I know that's the same thing, and that sounds stupid, but I call it noodle pasta. I was gonna make some noodle pasta today, but y'all, let me tell y'all, I was gonna make noodle pasta, and guess what? I forgot at the store. I got all the ingredients, but one thing: the noodles. I got everything but the noodles. I uploaded a 2 year anniversary video on YouTube today. Oh, that's good. That's nice. You are the bestest. LOL. Oh, I'm crazy. Jamaica said it. Yeah, y'all. Laugh my ass off. You forgot the noodles. I know, right? I'm gonna make noodle pasta without no noodles. It has 126 views. That's nice. That's so very nice. I'm happy for y'all. Oh Lord. Y'all, I went and got some shrimps. Let me tell y'all, I got the shrimps. I got the ham. I got the cheese. I got the crackers. I got celery, onions. I got everything to make the noodle pasta. Everything but the noodles. Ready to go. Ready to see you eat seafood again. Or just cook some seafood at home. Or for real, you had cooked some seafood. Good night. Good night, Elle. Yep. But I ain't never did one of them mukbang things. I don't know, cause I don't really be watching it, so I don't really know how people be doing it. I want yaki meat. I haven't had it in years. I know, ooh, I love me some yaki meat. I had made some yaki meat probably like, maybe in like, oh God. It's been almost going on a year now since I made yaki meat. I might have to make me some yaki meat, cause I want to say the last time I made yaki meat was, um, before we had went to California. Kaboom with those crackers. LOL. Huh? Wait. I want. Oh yeah, no, I read that. Kaboom with those crackers. LOL. Yeah, I guess. What you mean kaboom? Is that like something you eat, or you just saying like a sound? But girl, now you got me over here thinking about yakking meat. I'm supposed to be making noodle salad, and you got me thinking about some dang on yakking meat. For real, I used to eat liver cheese, but I don't eat it no more. No, I eat liver cheese. You mean you talking about Hoggy cheese, or you just talking about the liver cheese, which is the pink with the white trim around it? I eat liver cheese, but I don't eat no Hoggy cheese. Hell no, fuck that. That's nasty. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I eat liver cheese. It's good. Liver cheese with some regular cheese on bread. I got a joke. Oh Lord Jesus, what's your joke? If it's too crazy, I'm gonna get mad. It was different. Laughing my ass off. I couldn't. You couldn't fuck with it? Okay. It's cool. Like, I eat it like a sandwich. Why did the chicken go to Carl's Jr.? Why? Because his name was Carl. What? Okay. All right. I guess. Okay. That was funny. At least it made me laugh. I guess. Y'all crazy. Okay. Like the joke? Yeah, that was funny. I liked it. Cause I'm dead at the joke though. Oh Lord. That was funny. What? Okay. All right. Well, nah. Why did Hooting cross the road? Why? Hooting doesn't cross roads. He flies over them like a magic owl. Oh, okay. I have a joke. So my joke is, what do you call a cow with no legs? Y'all gonna get it because it's the easiest joke. No, it's not owl. What do you call a cow with no legs? C. No. Beefed up. No. You close, but no. Y'all want me to tell y'all the answer? Anybody else want to take a shot? I don't even know if anybody else in here. This thing so cow with no legs. Nope, that's not the answer. I'm gonna give y'all one last try. Cow with no legs. Okay, y'all ready? What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef. Oh man, I love that joke. That's the funniest shit. Oh my god. I remember my baby told me that he had to have read that off something because I know he ain't make that shit up. What do you call a bar in space? Hmm. What do you call a bar in space? Hmm. A space bar. You silly. You funny. Jump free 30. Jump free 30. Is it jump free? Or Jay Murphy? Okay, go. Do you think you will remember me from a month from now? Sure, why not? Don't type nothing crazy now. Because if you type something crazy, uh-uh. This a joke. Sure, why not? What? Wait, what did the pirate say on his 80th birthday? What? Oh, I get it. Like I'm 88, maybe. Who's there? Yeah, silly. Oh, that was funny. Y'all silly, man. Well, y'all, it was fun joking around, but I'm about to get ready to go to sleep because I gotta go to bed. I gotta go to work in the morning. So, with that being said, to all of my people who I love so dearly, I appreciate everyone for coming in. Yeah, the jokes was lit. I appreciate everybody for coming into my video. Thank you, Frank, so much. Special shout outs to Frank because Frank stayed with me the whole time. He listened to my readings and everything. So, Frank, big shout out to you. Jamaica, you know you my girl. I gotta holler at you. I'm gonna have to text you. I was supposed to text you today. And who else in here? Jay Murphy, you is the joke master. And I think that's the only people in here. I don't know if Miss Jane's still here. I think Miss Jane gone. Yeah, I think we the only ones in here, y'all. So thank y'all for sticking with me tonight. I appreciate everybody who came through and showed love. I'ma see y'all tomorrow if you stop by. But Now I'm going to sleep and I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.